Second World War, the Soviet Union had the largest land army on the planet. They were not satisfied with the destruction of Nazi Germany in 1945. They had control of most of Eastern Europe, parts of Manchuria, and we're also making new alliances in a new communist international with China at the time. Now, why 1956? In 1956, the new Soviet Empire, which included lots of the nations of Eastern Europe in the Eastern Bloc, there was already some trouble. There was already some cracks there. And in 1956, there was the Hungarian Revolution. As you know, since was the home of the tank. Britain being the home of the tank, they had a well-established armored vehicle production. And so Britain was definitely in the lead. They were the ones who actually got the first look at the T-54, T-55. And just a couple of the vehicles that they started developing before they had even seen that. Now, the world after the Second World War was still a very fractured and broken world. And it also was an export vehicle. So the United Kingdom and the rest of the NATO allies were not only arming themselves from this Soviet threat, they were exporting vehicles and arming their allies around the world. So Great Britain, again, with its huge industrial capacity and its experience in building military equipment and armored vehicles, unlike many of the allies of the United States, the UK in a way was kind of competing with the United States and the other Western allies to keep that alive and producing a lot of vehicles. Now, if you've been here, you may have gotten a ride. If you're here earlier, you may have seen or gotten a ride in the M113, that American armored personnel carrier. But of course, the British were not going to purchase an American-made technology. They decided to design their own. And here we have the FV, or Fighting Vehicle 432. So this is not a tank. Yes, it's tracked. Or that very light tank you just saw, the CBRT, doesn't actually work in a tank role. It's a reconnaissance vehicle. The M113 and the FV432, they are actually a armored personnel carrier, or is probably considered one of the greatest main battle tanks of all time. But that 100mm gun could take out any main battle tank in the world. The British wanted to have the most powerful tank. Chieftain. This is actually one of the heaviest vehicles in our collection, weighing in almost at 60 tons. Am I having a speaker issue? Okay, we have weighing almost at 60 tons. Now look at this, and you'll see it again in the parade portion of the show. When you compare this basically mobile fortress to the Soviet tank. So a replacement for the Centurion, this was to be the most powerful main battle tank in the world, and they were thinking that if you're going to be up against 10 or 15 Soviet main battle tanks, that the Chieftain could just almost sit there like a fortress while they tried to pummel it and pick them off. But also the long range of this weapon. To this day, in 2024, this weapon, now in the Challenger tank, has the world record for the longest tank-to-tank kill in military history. Thing to experience and to see in action. So we were talking about the United Kingdom. Now what about the Americans? After getting all the technical specs from the British on the Soviet T-55 main battle tank, the Americans recognized that their Shermans, their Pershings, were not going to be a match to this new generation of tanks. They started working on a new generation of American tanks right away. And they moved pretty quick, because if you think that they got those specifications in 1956, by 1960, they had released this vehicle, which is the M60 main battle tank. So, as for reliability, and both Canadian and American manufacturers are known for the reliability of their vehicles, unlike the British Leyland engine, this was produced by Chrysler. Believe it or not, this is a Chrysler-produced tank. So it weighs in at about 50 tons. So it's 10 tons less than the British Chieftain. It has a 105 millimeter main weapon, which was becoming a NATO standard. So all of the NATO members were moving their tanks. If they were purchasing their tanks from their allies, or they were moving to a standard ammunition. Don't know this, but Canada was a major producer of munitions and military vehicles from 1939 to 1945. Canada produced over 800,000 military vehicles during the Second World War. And we continued to build some vehicles, but on a smaller scale once this Soviet threat was identified. And what we're going to look at first in the story is this vehicle, which was actually built by General Motors Defense here in Canada And this is an AVGP Cougar, or Armored Vehicle General Purpose. So although Canada was producing military vehicles, M113 TUA, or Tow Under Armor, it has wire-guided missiles to take out tanks. And yes, Canada did have main battle tanks. So once again, we looked to our allies. So this Canada purchased, we kept our Centurions, believe it or not, up until 1977. Lucky winners of the Steel Aces raffle, and you're going to be in the show finale. It's time for you to come up here to the CP. If you are the winners of the Steel Aces raffle, it's time to come up to the CP so you can get in your tank for the finale of the show.